Good morning. We're doing Vulkan again. This Vulkan is fun. Actually, yeah, let me just confirm everything works. And, yeah, I think we'll switch to Linux. Linux is a lot easier. Contemplating creating custom build system. Ah, interesting. if you want some ideas on things that suck, let me know. For any language or for a specific language? For C and C++? Yeah, I'm into it. I'm not sure why they always turn out bad, but if you can do it, then do it. I'd say Mason's got a really good model, just a very bad syntax. Not a very bad syntax, but there's a few weird things that they should fix. And just the bad idea that they should be linking by default to the system rather than doing a local build. I think that's probably the fundamental change in recent times is people, generally we've sort of figured out that using system DLLs is a very bad idea. Make the CPU, so overwork the CPU. Yeah, and then just make it so that it's very configurable. Yeah, and I'm not sure why. Yeah, CMake, VMT, you're right. CMake syntax is extra ass. It's everything is a string philosophy. Yeah, man. I don't know. They get like a weird idea and then just insist on going with it, no matter how bad it turns out to be. Mason's problem is that they want everything to be idempotent or not idempotent, immutable, but it's not. They just use that as an excuse to make a very inflexible config file. Google's, yeah, there's what the hell was that called exactly? No, it's not Ninja. Ninja's by someone else. Ninja's mostly just like a super make. Okay, so that's working. Awesome. Okay, we're good on Windows, but we're going to work in Linux today. Bazel, yeah, that's it. Okay, so I did that change yesterday. Just kind of goofing off. And actually what I want to do, even though I know it works now, let me think about it. I can either, yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove that change and then do a big refactor on this if I can. Or maybe just leave this alone. I don't think this can be refactored, really. It kind of is what it is. Another thing I want to do is look at the vulkan.hpp, that style, and see if it solves the problem of initialization. Yeah, so like, does it do this for you? Does it have reasonable defaults? And also, is it, once you do that, kind of like an all or nothing thing? Like once you use vulkan.hpp, you're screwed, right? And then I want to go into vkguide and just start kind of like refactoring this like I would do any other code base, just sort of like making things have distinct concepts, pulling things up, getting rid of duplication, that kind of thing. That's the goal today. Kind of just clean this up so it's a bit easier to work with. And we might need that. Okay, let's make sure it runs. All right, good. Hey, Sabby, how you doing? Welcome back. Oh yeah, maybe we can look at why that's happening. It's kind of weird. Bazel sucks even more than CMake. I don't know what it is about C++ build systems. My idea for my build system is a YAML file. It's just good old YAML file. No scripting and no shit, but it's a YAML file? I don't know, man. YAML can get just as bad as anything else. I think that's why people like TOML, because you can't really go too bad. But I'm going to give you a better recommendation, okay? Work out your data model, right? Work on the data model and just like have it configurable with C++, right? So make builds that you can that can be configured with C++ from pure data. So the idea is make it so that you have structs and you are organizing the structs, and then that starts your build. So if you work out your data model, then make it so that you can use, like, you can plug in any config language and it'll work. Now you don't have to support any language, but I find what probably screws up Mason, CMake, all of those, is they mix what their data model is with the config language. Like they try to dream up this dream config language and use that to make the data model. So their data model ends up being kind of messed up. If you work out the data model and you work out the algorithms and you got your build system working from just like, you know, basically structs that have been wired together, then making the config file will be really easy because it's mostly just basically putting data in the right place, which is what it should be. First up, let's look at the Vulkan C++ support. See if that makes things easier or worse. So far, it makes it worse, which is very weird. I'll show you what I mean. So let's say flags, right? What was it? It was like VK flags, VK semaphore flags. Zero. That's how you had to do flags. In the C++ one. You had to use the fucking template. Alright, we'll just leave that there. That's an experiment. I have other ideas for that. So, let's look at... You have a C++ module? How does that shit even work? Vulkan HPP macros. Okay, we're going to look at this code real quick. And then also, let's see if we can find... Oh, incidentally, about config files. One of the reasons why I like JSON is that it forces you to make a data model, right? That's just basic types structured a certain way. When you get into stuff like this, when you have access to like objects and things like that, that's where it seems that the data models go wrong, because you can leverage the config file to kind of work around any problems in your data model. But then that ends up making your config really weird. So that's one of the reasons why I use JSON a lot. It's simple, but it forces you to do a data-oriented design for your, like a really nice data model, because otherwise your JSON file won't work, right? So just, you know, an idea. If you're looking just do a first one, try JSON just to get your data model right. Or just pure code. Okay. Okay, we're going to look through this a bit. Yeah, and it's part of it. Do they have like some info that'll help us make a decision? And it's in the VK namespace. All functions VK. Right, they kind of just do a little transform off of that. Interesting. Okay, so it's not supported on 32-bit platforms without some heinous static cast bullshit. Yeah, they literally created scoped enums. Oh, so dumb. Yes, so this is what I was curious about. I don't have a zoom on this. Yeah, okay, so they're talking about the exact issue that I was kind of hoping C++ would deal with. So when constructing a handle in Vulkan, one usually has to create info struct, right? It describes a new handle. This can result in quite lengthy code. Right, because you're having to set all these things, okay? Two typical issues Vulkan developers encounter when filling out a create info struct field by field. You leave something in initialized, you set the type wrong. Vulkan HPP provides constructors for all create info objects, which accept one parameter for each variable. This way the compiler throws a compiler error if the value has been forgotten. In addition to this, S-type is automatically filled with the correct value, and P-next is set to null pointer by default. Okay, that gets rid of a lot. Here's how the same code looks with a constructor. Okay. Okay, this might be interesting. So converting to actually using C++, I am positive. I'm just gonna make a prediction. There's significant issues with the C++, which is why vkguide doesn't use it. I'm gonna convert it and then run into the big issue. You know it, but maybe not. Maybe it's just that it didn't exist when Vulkan first came out, so people got used to using the C. So you can just call device.createImage. You have to set all that. You have to set a lot of shit. Okay, all right. That's interesting because that's all configurable. That's really interesting. See what I mean? These are all, yeah, that's an enum, that's an enum. This is all just data. You could totally pre-configure a lot of what you use. I have a lot of ideas. The JSON thing is mostly a joke. I don't think you would configure with JSON, but I have other ideas. All right, designated initializers, whereas to not have any user declared or inherited constructors, you have to define Vulkan no constructors, which removes all the structure and union constructors from Vulkan. And then use aggregate initializer. First vk lines or source may look like this. No constructors. Remove all the structure and union constructors from Vulkan. Wait, why do they have to do that? Okay, so if we add this, is this still true? All right, so if we add that, then we can make the code do this. A problem with this is because C++ requires them to go in the same order as they're declared, you would pretty much be constantly, well, you still have to put them in the same order, right? Yeah. So at least this is kind of like a bit better documented, right? But I'd have to see. Yeah, we can try either one. Maybe it's kind of a thing where we first convert to this style and then eventually, or maybe if it's small like this, we just do that, right? But if it's something really large like that, we use this style. But I'm curious about this. Okay, we're gonna have to look and make sure this is still true, because this is the old Vulkan HPP. It's now in the headers, so we don't need this project. So maybe things have changed in the last 5 years. Okay, so maybe today's refactor is, let's test refactoring to C++. I very much believe that it's going to be a mix of, wow, that's easier, and what the fuck, that's really hard. Because like flags alone is like multiple templates. Let's see, the Vulkan API has several places which require as 2 function arguments. And C++ has few containers which map perfectly to this pair. To simplify development, the Vulkan HPP bindings have replaced those arguments with a Vulkan array proxy class, which accepts empty arrays and a single value as well as STL containers. Interesting. Passing structs to functions. Vulkan HPP generates references to pointers. Will be VK optional? Why did they make their own optional type? What is up with people just like the fucking not invented here syndrome in C++ is nuts. I bet it's like pretty much the same as the standard one, but now we're dealing with the VK optional bullshit. Constructing such structure change with minimal effort. Compiling if the spec allows the construction of such a p-next change. Okay, so you can do structure change. Fail compilation since it's not valid according to the spec. Okay. It'll fail at compile time. Interesting. Okay. So you can rely on the exceptions to kind of catch things for you. And the exceptions, I was watching a couple of CPPCon videos, and they're showing that the exceptions are not slow anymore. They used to be really bad. It used to be really terrible. Okay, so you can just create a device with that. Okay. Okay, so you can do a switch. Result value, uint32. I'm not sure why I'm specifying that. That's really fucking annoying. I'm kind of torn because this does look like it's a lot easier, but then if you learn the C API, you're kind of... See, the problem is within the vkguide code, it's sort of a weird mix of C and C++. And I think that, like, if you're doing this in pure C, it would be a hell of a lot easier. Some Vulkan functions might change such that they start to support more result codes. Okay, we got to look up what standard tie is. I'm not familiar with that. What is standard tie? Okay, so why do they use standard tie but VK optional? It's so weird. Huh, interesting. So it's kind of because normally what I'll do is wait, yeah, it's just an alternative to auto. No, not this, but ABC. It's just that. It's just an old ass C++ 11 thing that they decided to use, but now we have auto destructuring. Now I'm kind of curious about this standard ignore, because that would let you skip things. But I think that's only applicable to standard tie. Huh, food for thought. I might have to look at that. But otherwise, that's really weird. Why would... It's really strange. Why would someone make their own optional, VK optional, but then use old ass standard tie? It seems so weird. I hate the C++ standard library. I make my own optional. But damn, I love standard tie. I've been using that since I was a kid. Anyway. So you could just use auto to clean that up. I'm really torn, man, because I could see this being just not fun. It's kind of hard to explain, but... Wait. This is not C++ syntax, right? They're just doing a... Yeah, that's... that's... I'm like, wait, there's a question mark afterwards? I could totally abuse the shit out of that if that was real. Yeah, okay, so we can do this. Yeah. Yeah, why have the standard tie thing? Anyways, okay, fine, whatever. So then there's a whole other thing that does the cleanup for you. Okay. Wow, they really just did not want to make any decisions in this C++ thing. Like, they have defines for everything. Oh, you don't like exceptions? You can turn them off. Do you know how hard it is to write code that just arbitrarily you can turn the exceptions on or off, or enable RAII? You know how hard that is? It's like a lot of shit. That seems like way too much work. Way too much. And you know it's to support like 3 dudes who have been coding since they were 12 and insist that C++ 11 is the dream setup, no exceptions. You know, and nobody else doing C++ gives a shit about that. Yeah, I'm torn on trying to use this because it's weird because it can do more. It like makes a lot of things easier, but also makes things there's other things that'll be weird. A shared handle, which will delete the underlying Vulkan resource upon destruction. So shared pointer? Why'd they make their own shared pointer? Yeah. Okay, I guess they're doing it to like... Anyways, all right. Sending instruct shared handle. Okay, we'll have to look, because remember, this is kind of like older, and now this is included in the standard headers. Okay, so you make a shared buffer. For example, shared image may take an additional argument. I'm mixed on this. I think tie allows you to rebind the references. Or rebind the references. Yeah, but you can just do it with, I think the big one is you can ignore stuff. But no, yeah, everything you would want to do, you can just do with, what the fuck they call it? Structured layout, the destructuring thing. C++ called it something weird. This thing. Just auto and then you embrace it and done. Like no need for tie or anything like that. But I need to see if you can put standard ignore here, then that would be interesting. But normally you do underscore, so I don't know. Okay, so we have unique handle, shared handle. Instead of wrapper classes for all handle types to follow the... Yeah, it seems like you can't really use the vkguide thing. Oh yeah, I want to look this up. What the hell is a texel? It's an island in Holland. Hold on. Graphics, yeah. I don't know that word. And texel. Oh, texture element. Okay, that's all it is. I thought so. Vulkan extension inspection. Okay, so you can do get device extensions, instances, stuff like that. Provides a C++ named module in Vulkan C API. Yeah, that shit is not gonna work. That module ain't gonna work at all. God, C++ modules is just like, it's very much a solution looking for a problem. It's kind of like they looked at like languages that had modules and saw how successful they were. And they're like, it's the modules. And it never occurred to them that it's something totally different. So like the modules, they just don't work, man. Every compiler is doing it differently. I never coded at this low level before, but I thought part of the attraction of doing this was exactly to avoid the not invented here thing and just let the compiler optimize. Yeah, you would think. I mean, there's a few things that people have issues with in the standard library. But a lot of it seems like very kind of old drama. So for example, the unordered map implementation is always brought up as like, it's crap. And then when you dig, it's because there's one restriction that they had to add to it to prevent you from moving a pointer. So in the implementation, you can't restructure the pointer, and that eliminates a lot of optimizations that people like to do. But I think a lot of those optimizations are pretty risky and cause problems. So there's weird little things like that. But for the most part, the standard libraries, yeah, it's just fine. And I'm going to continue this research, and then I got a debate. Okay, here's the debate. Do we try to redo this? I start a branch. I try and see how the C++ works. I'm kind of curious. Or do I just refactor the C code style, like the C extra that's in the current example, and see how clean I can get that? So I could do both. I mean, one session of C++, one session of C. So anyways, all right. So after the ads are 3 minutes, and then we do another hour. And I'm going to dump my coffee cup and switch to tea. And then we're going to do some refactoring just as an exercise. Okay, let's do this. We're going to make a branch. Yeah, this was a fun experiment, but I don't particularly want to refactor and also have that in there. Okay, so first step is we got to get rid of that JSON code thing. Let's do this. Let's see, gnarly quack, yet a question. Yes, with auto add food, you can't use it to set foo and bar to new references. No, I just generally don't do that. Yeah, no, you generally don't try to redo. I got bit by that lots and lots of times. If you need to like move references, you just use a pointer. Yeah, but I don't know if that's actually true. I'd have to try that. I think standard tie is still going to be restricted to the same thing. Like looking at that, I think that's just like a recipe for disaster, basically. Yeah, I would almost say that if I'm using standard tie to redo that, I'm just going to switch to pointers and then not have to have that problem. Okay, yeah, all right. So I need to do some Git wizardry, and I am not a Git wizard. We need to back up to this commit. Two choices: back up to this commit, or create a new branch from here and remove this. Now let's back up to this commit. And then we'll do a branch from there. Git checkout. I totally forgot. I think it's this. God damn it. No, it's not that. I need to check out a specific version. Also, I don't think I need all of that. God damn it. Okay. Git, go back to previous commit. Well, I don't really want to reset to that. Well, this is exactly what I did. All right. What's this error message? Git switch? What the fuck? What? When does this come around? New branch name. Refactor CPP test. Okay, cool. Right. Hopefully that's right. We'll see. Scripts reset. Okay, so now we're on a new branch. Let's make sure it builds, and then we're going to come into here. Yes, nice. Okay, so none of my JSON tomfoolery from yesterday. All right, now let's see. Here's the next problem. This is interesting, but can we get Vulkan.hpp DOXYGEN output for this? Okay, we'll check that. Bot libretto, they might have made one. HPP hello triangle. Okay. I don't know how. No, this is something else. Okay, so this is an example. It seems like they're not really using much C++. Yeah, it's really odd. Like the C++ example. Or is this just using... No, this is using the old thing. So is there a new link? Alright, so I think first thing we got to do is get good API docs on this. Alright, back up one more. This is their example of using C++. I don't think they understand what it means to use C++, right? Let's make sure we're looking at a new one. Okay, this looks like... Yeah, okay, good. This is what looks like it. Okay, so the previous one was using .cpp, but then using the C... Why? Why are you... My God, man. Either code it in C or code it in C++. Don't do this mixed thing. It's just too hard to... It's like too much of a translation. Okay, so they have an example. We can kind of crib some stuff from there. Let's get rid of this one. Let's do this. Wow, this is wild. There's not one... Okay, we might be having to... We might be running DOXYGEN ourselves. How do you make a C++ API and not generate some docs, man? API samples. Okay, all right. We're going to have to find DOXYGEN and compute shader and body problem. Hello triangle. Lots of examples. Okay. Nope. Okay, all right. All right, let me see. I don't think I have it installed. I do not. All right, and then also, how is it going to handle header files? We have to check out the whole API and then run DOXYGEN on it. Okay, let's just do it. App search DOXYGEN. Goes in CSS for that. Okay, so we're going to do DOXYGEN and this one. All right, copy. Just for fun. Okay, cool. All right. Existing config file. Use I can generate template configuration file. Okay. Oop. All right, so now we have the problem of let's do this. I wonder what S is. I have no idea what you're supposed to name that. Okay, whatever. All right, we'll call this output directory is HTML. Why not? That's fine. Allowed Unicode names, output language English, brief number description. Where do we set the input? Heading, markdown ID style, autolink, built-in STL. Yes. Yeah, I remember this is something really annoying about DOXYGEN. We want to see everything private too. Yeah, we want to see the whole thing. Well, do we? Do we? Let's get that. Oh, this is probably not going to work, man. Because there's all those defines and stuff. Right. So next, I'm going to try and get some docs. Maybe. Okay, I'll be right back. Give me a second. We're trying to see how the Vulkan C++ library is. Yeah, I suspect it's kind of a pain in the ass. Anyway, we'll just see what we got. Okay, so now... Okay, so that's the C++, but it's part of the main code. So... How do you run DOXYGEN? Hold up. Actually, I think I'm doing this wrong. Hold up. Let's move. Yeah. Okay, now let me look at docs config. So how do you specify where the code is? I hate DOXYGEN, man. What a weird fucking project. How do you say where the fucking source code is? Does it just work on your current directory? What a bunch of idiots. One million config options, not one that says here's the source code. So I'm assuming you just go DOXYGEN. Yeah, that's your only option. Okay. That makes sense. Okay, so that means we have to check out the Cronus group code. This stupid fucking project. All right, so we got to get the Cronus group code. Vulkan download tar.gz. Vulkan. Vulkan SDK. Are we in the right spot? We have the code to this though. Vulkan SDK 1.3281. Where do we download? Wow, they really make that tough. No, that's a build. GitHub, LunarG. Can you just not get the full source code? What? What? What the fuck are you talking about? How is this? Okay, so you can't get the source code, so you can't generate documentation for it, and then they don't generate documentation for it. Wait, so how are they making header files and stuff? All right, I'm super baffled, man. We can't get to the source code to make docs. I mean, I guess I can try to copy the header files over. Yeah, that's crazy. As they say, it's open source, so like there's no source code to it. So LunarG is making SDK. I'm guessing they're making money by charging people access to the code. But then it's open source, so like where's the code? We'll see if maybe it's in there. I doubt it. Okay, well, we can try DOXYGEN just on this. Alright, so HTML, index. It's probably not going to show anything. Yeah. Okay, nothing. Let's try it from here. That might give us just enough info to work with. Man, that's a kind of weird. Isn't the source code of the API implemented by the driver itself? No. I mean, they have an API and whatnot. DOXYGEN core dumped. Computing inheritance relationships causes it to core dump. That's very, very C++. Yeah, the headers are, but I would like to get like just the full source code and run the docs on it. Code for it is hinted in vendor code by GPU drivers? No, that doesn't seem like true. Because Vulkan's just, you know, it's just an API to access the GPU through like standard means as far as I know. So if what you're saying is inside this is code for like every GPU ever invented, like drivers for every GPU ever invented, that seems like a really dumb way to do it. Although I wouldn't put it past anybody to do it that way. Okay, so DOXYGEN seg faults. Maybe it just, that was that one time. Maybe we get lucky. And seg faults. Oh man. So we can't even like alright, so first thing, let's get rid of that. That might be causing problems. Yeah, it looks like it's just busted because it's DOXYGEN. Alright, we may just have to be looking in C header files. Let's kind of see if I can generate some docs, make it a little bit easier. Let's see if we can Google for this and people can have a clue. No, yeah, looks like I would have to actually like reverse engineer what it's choking on. I'd have to go in and reverse engineer what DOXYGEN is choking on and then exclude it with a pattern. Oh, man. Hey, Deadard. I am going to see if I can refactor this code that's kind of in a C style of Vulkan into the C++ style. I'm just trying to get some information, some documentation about like what goes where. I got no idea what could possibly be causing it. We'll just do this. I gotta strip it down. That's hilarious, man. God, what a piece of shit. Yeah, why not? All right, run. Like solving cycles is kind of like a incredibly simple thing to do. You just keep a list of visited things and don't do that. Yeah, and I'm gonna bet you $1 million this dipshit is using recursion to process the graph, but doesn't have tail recursion. See that? The stack? This is totally some asshole thinking that recursion is the best thing ever. But the compiler most likely doesn't have tail call optimization. This is totally recursive, trying to process a graph recursively. I was hoping maybe I could get the name of whatever thing it's doing. Yeah, so then it just runs out of RAM because it's in a recursive loop. All right, here we go. Yeah, quit. Okay, so I could, through a process of elimination, figure out what's causing the cycles, but whatever. Let's see if we get something. But yeah, I think we're just stuck looking at C files. Oh well, C++ code. Yeah, I can kind of see why people just don't use this API, man. Yeah, because it kind of weirdly is more complex. All right, we're going to ditch that. All right, enough with the docs experiment. But that could be, it seems like it's very hard to do that, so that could be a useful thing. And maybe we write a little Documentation generator. All right, enough of that. Let's see what we can do just like looking at the header files. In just this one spot. Okay, yeah, we'll just try and do include vulkan.hpp. Okay, make sure that works. What? Oh, yeah. Okay, now let's see if we can piece together. Okay, so here's the documentation there. Let's also open up user include vulkan.hpp. Okay, so over here, let me go like this. All right, so then what we're going to look for, and this is why I want to run DOXYGEN, because then we can use the search to kind of like look for this, but because what we have to do is we have to go command pool, create command pool info. Wait, why are these all duplicated? Okay, we want create pool info. Well, looks like 17,000 lines. Hopefully they generated that. Oh my god, dude. Are you fucking kidding me? This is nuts. 23,000 lines of code. They had to generate that. There's no way a human sat here writing this. There's no way. Although I wouldn't put it past some C++ guy to just be doing that. Okay, so we're going to look at... Let's go to this directory. You know what I'm going to bet? I bet we have to search for handle hash shared structs. Okay, let's look here. We're looking for and pool create info. Yes, okay. So structs is the key. And there's a constructor. Yeah, and like for every single thing they do, they have defines. Oh my god. Wow. If you're the documentation from the GitHub repo README is fairly good. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. But it's always they miss stuff, right? It's easier to kind of like, okay, so how do I configure this thing? How to configure that thing? But I mean, it's not too hard for them to generate it, right? Like they could just generate it and say, here's the documentation. Like it's trivial. And also it's not complete, right? Like the point, whenever you document something, you have a guide that gets you started. You have tutorials for specific things that people need to know about, right? And then you have the API documentation so that people can query things up while they're working. And then you have like frequently asked questions and stuff like that, or common bugs. Okay, so with this, so if we get rid of the constructors, we could do that. Possible. Set P next. And that converts to vconst. Okay, interesting. Yeah, this is kind of more trouble than it's worth, man. They shouldn't have done these, like, yeah, man, they shouldn't have done this. They should have just said, it's a modern API, we only support C++ 20, right? And then say, and this is how it works. Just be more opinionated, right? And if people want something different, they just, you know, wrap their own thing with the C API, but they could have made a really nice C++ API with modern features and made it very easy to use. And I mean, fine, give me constructors. I don't need to define the, and they've done this with everything. Jesus. $166,000 lines of code. There's no way somebody wrote that. They had to generate that. Wow. I wonder if it's possible to kind of like generate it, but only with the ifs. Anyways, let's see if we can figure it out. Command pool create info. Wait, but here. No, I know this isn't the. Yeah, I'm positive that's not what I want. Let's just copy it. Let's see what that is. So hopefully it's not a man page. Yeah, it's just like a man page. It gives us something though. So probably the easiest way to do it is, now does this give us searching only in here? Okay, we'll go here. Okay, so we want to use the C++ version of this. Okay, what we're going to do is yeah, this most likely isn't. Wait, what the fuck am I doing? Okay, so vk command pool create info, and then hopefully it's the same ordering. I'd be curious to disable the constructors and try it that way. Okay, so the only thing we need to do is set the flags and the family index. Everything else should be handled. So in theory, we don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Go here, go flags, and okay. Yeah, that's gonna fail miserably, I think. We'll see how good it is. All right. All right, there's 3 candidates. Copy constructors and all that bullshit. And a void pointer on the final one. All right, so what do they want from that? No, so then the documentation is wrong. No, this is set to a default of null pointer. So then this. Oh, no. Yeah. Oh my God. So here comes this amazing decision. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. The flags is not a different type. It's a template that allows you, that wraps the type and allows you to do bit masking stuff. But they could have just used a bit set. I'm not sure why they had to. Was also there's type denums, I believe. Yeah, it's the whole thing. All right. There's no type instruct underlying type of vk. Command pull create flags. And then it kind of infects everything. But what's interesting is if you get this, then you kind of don't need this helper function. That's the only reason why I'm curious about this, because I've felt for a while that a lot of these functions that just like wire up a struct could go away if you had good C++ practices, which I don't think this is. Potentially easier, maybe. Okay, flags, vk command, create flags. Here, let's just do this real quick. Can we get away with 0? I suspect we have to change that type, which means we have to change other type, so we'll just do it that way. Okay, no, it's got nothing to do with that. Yeah, flags. Wait, why is it twice? I'm not doing it twice. What are you doing? What the fuck is this there? Instantiation of class flags. I'm doing flags twice. Okay, no, that's definitely not. Alright, I gotta go look at how the flags are done. It's not that. Yeah, I think I have to infect this whole thing. And it's supposed to translate it to the correct type, so it's supposed to then send you that, but crap. Yeah, all right, let's go look at the docs. Hey Mac, how you doing? Where's this at? Let's look at the flags. Oh yeah, okay, flags. I passed it. Provide the class template, which brings standard operations. But yeah, I shouldn't have to like... What is this again? I totally did this once and I cannot remember how you're supposed to use it. Create info structs. Yeah. Okay, that's what we're basically trying to use. All right, so yeah, we have the VK. Well, that's not gonna work. We'll try it again. The flag is so nice. You hoist it twice. Oh, terrible joke. Oh. Wait, that worked? What the fuck? Anyways. Okay. What's the type that that thing is taking? Hold on. Why can't I just pass this in? Like that. No, because they're converting it to a typed thing. Oh, we got advertising starting in a second. Dimension functional VK pool create. Yeah, they're just being type specific because these are enum classes now because everyone loves that feature even if it's dog shit. All right, so yeah, let's give it a shot. We're going to do C++. We're going to see if we can use the Vulkan HPP. And, but I kind of don't think it's good because there's just not a good documentation output for it. Everything is documented in terms of the C API. So yeah, you'd have to constantly sort of like reverse engineer everything you run into. I'll put it this way. If I was forced to go through and reverse engineer everything to translate from C to C++, I would rather write a NIM API, right? Like if I have to translate, I'm just going to translate to a language that's a bit easier to work with. Yeah. Anyways, I'll give it a shot. This worked. Incredibly interesting. So then effectively you could get rid of these. And it just works. Can we strip this down even further? Like the Joker, I failed as a comedian and became the enemy, a C++ developer. Yeah. Oh yeah, because that return type isn't there, so that's mostly just to force the type. Well, yeah, that totally works. I'm torn. I'm so torn. Like, if doing it in pure C++ makes it so, the thing that I've been thinking the whole time is that this kind of code, all this stuff, kind of obscures the actual activity you're doing. Like 60 to 70% of the code is just this configuring structs bullshit, and it makes it hard to see. Oh, well, I connect a device to a shader to a descriptor, that kind of thing, right? So the C++ I was hoping would be like a simplification that would allow you to kind of see, because, you know, C++ is objects. So you say, I connect the device to the this, to the that, and you see the structure. So that's the idea. But if it's really badly documented, and it makes sense, I can see why DOXYGEN chokes on it. It's 160,000 lines of code. I mean, just for one header file. Although, no, it shouldn't crash. DOXYGEN does have a shit implementation. But anyways, yeah. So yeah, but just go through and do it. See what this looks like. What do we make next? So probably easiest to do this. Go here. Replace that like this. Go like this. Bye. Then we have to look at the documentation to confirm this is the correct order. Like that. The feature I like about it is the defaults and the vunic. Yeah. See, that's what I'm thinking, right? Like the defaults is gold. That's gold. I love that, right? But it's you have to get the defaults in the right order if you want to use the version that doesn't have constructors. I think your first issue, and your second issue is without documentation of what kind of options you have. And it'd be fine if that code was a bit nicer, but with all the defines and stuff, it's extremely difficult to browse it, right? I'm imagining most people kind of suffer through it because they have an IDE. They just like, the IDE shows them some, I don't know, I think most IDEs would even choke on that shit. Okay. So and then we have to say, okay, we have the command pool. And this last one is always that, I believe it's this. Yeah, see, this is the kind of thing that you'd have to constantly struggle with, is a parameter order. And then we don't need the final void pointer. Okay, so let's see what it wants. No conversion of .2 from command. Okay, so a lot of those you have to wait. Oh. No known conversion. This one, from vk command buffer level. Oh, okay, so we have to go into this namespace. E primary. Okay, interesting. Okay, so here we just do shit. That. Okay, so we have to translate that. Yeah, being able to look that stuff up real quick in an IDE is probably how people survive through it, right? Yeah. Rotato, how's it going? You just remind you of NSYNC? Oh, I thought you said I remind you of NSYNC. It's like, why? I mean, I'm not offended. It's just kind of a very strange association. Man, the way you work that Vulkan C++, I'm just thinking of like Justin Bieber. Like what? Wait, was he in NSYNC? I'm completely unaware of the boy band things. I said bye. Yeah, exactly. Matthew, let's see. You can disable structures and use aggregate. Yeah. The issue with that is you have to get the order right, because C++ requires the order to match. It's not like C. C is a lot easier with that. But I believe you also have to have everything, so there's no defaults. So yeah, the constructors are fine. Yeah, this is totally fine. Just leaving them on is good. But it'd be interesting kind of compare, because the nice thing about the one without the constructors is you can then do this. You can do dot pool equals this. You can actually have these nice initializers that document it. So I'm kind of torn on that. Shout out to the one and only Jonathan Blow. If you guys don't know who that is, I don't know where you've been. Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate it. How is your stream? How's your programming stuff? We are currently trying to convert C-style Vulkan into C++ style Vulkan to see how it works. It's kind of weird. So events, create info. And then we have to do events, create info flags. It's too bad it couldn't convert that automatically, man. That'd be sweet. Is that the whole thing? Is it? No, that can't be the whole thing, is it? It's just some flags? No. You gotta be kidding me. That's it? Weird. Alright. Alright, so now we're trying to figure out this one. create fence create flags. Okay, fence create flags. Okay, so the pattern is there's a info, then a create flags. Create info, then flags. Okay, so you just replace info with flags. It gives you something. But while everybody's here, let me give you a rundown on kind of what I do. Right now I'm learning Vulkan, but I am not a game developer, just so y'all know. And we can actually switch over to Windows. I work on a bunch of stuff. Mostly I make courses teaching people how to code, but I also work on games and stuff. And I'm learning Vulkan mostly for fun, but the game I've been tinkering with is, I'm not a game developer. I'm just kind of, I have an idea and I'm just making it. So this is kind of like a retro dungeon crawler I've been working on. All right, so this is the game that I tinker on. It's nothing on a level of like Jonathan Blow's. Jonathan's stuff is fantastic. Where are we at? Let's go down here. So this is what I made. So I did all the painting and all the art. And it's just a little turn-based dungeon crawler where you play a magical dead baby that takes over zombies and then tries to get revenge in this dungeon. There we go. Don't ask me why that's the story. It just is. So you crawl through the dungeon like this, all turn-based, 80s style. I got my own raycasting engine. You go here, and then there's a cutscene system. Vulkan's fun until you get to the synchronization stuff. You mean the command synchronization? No, I think that's not. It is verbose, but it kind of fits. So then after the cutscene, then you fight a boss. Now, right now, my boss doesn't move. That's what we're working on. But you can look up top. We're planning the battle. It's turn-based. They move around. And then when you're done, you go back through the dungeon, killing enemies, collecting their stuff. Because as you kill enemies, you pick up items they drop. And eventually they die. I need to adjust the hit points on that. And there we go. So I paint all these textures, and I'll show you that real quick. I did something where I don't have enough damage. So they look pixelated. And keep in mind, the idea I'm going for is that it's an 80s style game, but it's like what I remember of it. So it doesn't really fit. So what I do is I actually am a painter. So in addition to being a programmer, I do a whole bunch of painting. So I just kind of decided if I'm going to make a game, it's going to be mostly paintings. So I do things like this. This is one of the enemies. So I do it as like it's simulated oil paint, but it's basically oil paint. And open recent. Here's one of the enemies too. Here's the boss, the Rat King. If I can find him. Yeah, Rat King. And I do both frames. So like if I do this, then I render it, I make 2 frames, and I do some like, a little bit of tweening motion in 2 frames, and that's it. I do a painting. Then I have a program I wrote in Go that just takes these and messes them up. So it makes them look like they used to do, like the FMVs or the old pixelated graphics they used to do. There you go. That's my main fun thing. So now the Vulkan stuff is mostly just me learning Vulkan and having fun. And there you go. And if you would like to check out that code, it is online. Just pure C++ fun. Okay, back to this thing. Okay, so we're going to learn Vulkan. So we're just going to go through and see. How can we do this? So then I can probably find where this is and slowly refactor it out. Okay, let's get all these working. Semaphore. So probably, yeah, no, it's just a lot easier to do this. You don't need that. Don't need that. And if they could auto-convert these. VK fence flags. Oh no, the wrong. Fence. Semaphore create. Okay. Command buffer begin info. All right. Yeah. So I guess we're just like doing this conversion. And then let's see if we can pull it up. Okay. So we'll pull it up. Let's get these all converted. We'll see if this goes in the right order. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Oh, these are typed, so that should be fine. VK command buffer begin flags. Oh. Flags and I remember reset flags. Or for usage flags. Ah, I should look up there. I'm looking at the wrong type. Okay. Yeah, I need to look at this type there. Okay, then what does it want? The flags first and then the inheritance info. I thought that'd be the case. If it defaults, yeah, instead of null pointer, let's see if we can get away with not null pointer. First, we'll get a compile. And then confirm it works. Yep. Command users flags. Okay. Image sub resource. Return to S. So we have the aspect mask. Raw 0 is not cool. Okay, we go there. 0. Let's do this, do this, do this. Oh, do that, do that, do this. Do that. Okay, and then once we get this working, let's go and find each of these functions and just replace them with these calls. And yeah, I don't know, slowly just kind of convert it to C++ and just see what we get. I'm going to suspect that the C API is just better overall. Oh, yeah, get rid of that. Okay. Right, got it. Where are you? Probably this one. Okay. Image resource. Oh, those are flags. Ah, okay, I see. So we can do this. We can go vk image aspect. Already have it. Got it. Nice. Very good. Very good. Okay, not too hard. It's pretty reasonable translate. All right, semaphore submit info. You know what, let's do this. QA 2S return vk : and then let me see. Yeah, let's do that. We'll see if we can get a little macro going. You know what? I bet I could do. Okay, we're gonna try something. All right, 2S return vk : A D2 there. C. Go here. There. Come back to here. Go up. Select that. Now I could probably do the whole line. We're going to place that with we're not doing that. Ah, fuck, I fucked it up. Alright, start over. I'm going to make a macro that does this automatically. Just bear with me. It's a bit of Vim wizardry. Alright. All right, we'll see if that works. Let's come down here. All right, here we go. Awesome. I mean, assuming that's actually correct. We'll see. We'll compile. Oh, let's undo that. Don't do that yet. We'll do this. Right, yeah, some of these are just out of order, so you just have to find specs 5 arguments here. Okay, semaphore. Okay, great. Stage mask. Let's come down here. Oh, I don't need this and I don't need that. Yeah. Semaphore value. stage. Okay, so the stage mask has to come after one of those. Here, let's earlier by 10 minutes. It's not that one. Here we go. Value is 1. Okay. Later, 20 minutes. Okay, so we'll have to make sure we know what those are. It's that way. Okay. Oh, and then this, and then that. Okay. Okay. Oh, those are pipeline flags too. So let me just see what that wants. VK pipeline flags, VK semaphore. Okay, yeah, I think we just translate it. Yeah, VK semaphore. VK pipeline stage flags 2. I should do it this way. Okay, interesting. Are the only necessary clauses should be designated, or none of them should be? Where is that with this one? This one. Alright, we gotta look that one up. Okay. Pipeline. Okay, I must have like a small misspelling here. Oh, it would help if I did 2 colons instead of 1. And then I should be able to do this now. That means that other error message is really weird. Expect a primary expression before info. Oh, because I have return. Okay, no problem. Okay. Let's make sure it still actually runs. Oh, and then we have to change this back. Okay, get that to compile again. Is Go easier to catch up for web dev than Rust? I'd say yeah. If you're an experienced programmer, you could probably learn Go in a weekend and be off and running. It's very simple. Very simple. Very simple. But that doesn't mean it's like not capable. Like you can do a lot of stuff. And I'm finding I'm using it in every place where I would use scripting languages. I'll just write some Go code and it'll be about the same. So where you're like, for example, like give you an example project. As soon as my mouse comes over. Let's go here. So here's all my Go projects. I'll drop a link. You can kind of browse around, get a sense of what I'm making with it. And like if you look at VidCrunch, I use this to compress all of my videos for my courses for like everything. And it's just a bunch of secret sauce stuff I've figured out over the years with FFmpeg. But if you look, it's only about Yeah, 250 lines of code, but it does so much. It like opens a JSON file to figure out how to process a whole directory of videos into multiple formats and then wrap them up in a Dash file so that people can watch them like WebM with Dash across multiple servers. And it's just 250 lines of code. That's it. And it's shelling out to FFmpeg, but that's what you would do with Python or Ruby, JavaScript, any of those languages. And it does it about the same way. Very simple, straightforward. If you look at another example, I have this thing called the Jankifier. So if you saw my little game I'm doing, this is the code that loads all my images. Again, just loads a JSON file, loads all my images, uses a Go library to convert them. Before this is 30 lines of code, man. And before it was like 3 or 4 bash scripts calling a PowerShell script. It was terrible. Like just a hodgepodge of random crap. And this is just like really simple. Render images. Oh yeah, and that's probably in another file. Processing. So then the actual loading the image and doing all the processing to, determine how many pixels to use based on the image size and the configuration. Yeah, a couple hundred lines of code. Yeah, and I self-host and kind of make everything myself. So that way, that's how I keep my skills sharp. It's kind of hard to teach people if I don't actually know what I'm doing. So then you have this one, static website generator, the classic project. Real simple again, like 400 lines of code. Not much to it, just processes markdowns and things like that into HTML. So Go is like just really good at processing tools, backend servers, pretty much anywhere that you would use Python on the back end or Ruby on the back end or JavaScript on the back end. Go is just super good at that. And then this is just a tiny little process manager. It just basically fires up. If you ever use like PM2 or God or any of those, it's just that, but very, very simple. And it works cross-platform. So it can actually like launch up Windows, on Windows, it can launch your projects and everything. And it's only like 75 lines of code, right? I don't know if you heard about Europe's latest news, but they're making it so all messaging apps, including PDP encrypted apps like Signal, have to allow full scanning of all messages of all users. Oh yeah, I think I heard that. That's the encrypted messaging law. I thought they stopped that. I thought they defeated that. So anyways, yeah, I recommend if you want to get into Go, Venka, it's very, very easy to do. Really great, simple little language. And also, like, there's some people many people don't like it because it eliminates, like almost totally eliminates your freedom of choice. But in a way, for this kind of stuff, I kind of don't give a shit, right? I'm really just like, I just want to get it done. But the only thing I disagree with is that at some point in effective Go, there's a single sentence where whoever wrote it decided that nobody will put an underscore in their variable name. And Go people are really angry that I do this. I don't get it. If you do that, they're like, hey, Go programmers don't do that. I'm like, I super don't give a fuck. I really don't care. So that's the only thing you got to watch out for. Otherwise, everything is handled for you as far as like formatting. You don't got to give a shit about that. You don't have to worry about like weird idioms, really. There's a lot of stuff that just kind of like gets rid of like the old Go idioms. Generics are good enough, I think that's probably the best way to describe language is it's good enough. It's good enough. It's not amazing. It's not fantastic. It's not going to blow your socks off. It's not going to solve all your problems. It's just good enough, right? And then, did I give you a link to this? Yeah, let me give you a link to this repo. You can kind of browse around, get a sense of what's going on. Yeah, Go has generics. And after they got generics, so one of the things that you'll run into in old Go code is these weird idioms for doing things like listing a list or converting a list, right? So if you go Go docs slices, now they use the generics to make packages like this. So do you need to reverse a list? There you go. Do you need to sort it? There you go. Do you need to sort it based on a function? There you go. And there's another one for maps that does the same thing. So these days, you just fire up these things, maps, slices, like it's really simple. You don't have anything really complicated. Yeah, generics were actually a big sticking point for a lot of people. But, you know, honestly, with the way that their interface system works and whatnot, it wasn't too necessary. It is nicer. I mean, this is kind of proof that it is nicer to have it. But then weirdly, I think what's really strange is when they added it, they added the generics, you still see people who are hardcore Go programmers who hate these. They prefer to use the weird idioms that they've cooked up. So this is just basically this is all just generating the code that people used to do these operations. There's like a whole FAQ on like common idioms for working with slices, and there's these weird convoluted transform thingies. This is way easier to understand. But anyways, yeah, and top-notch network code. I will say probably my biggest complaint about Go is the I/O, the input-output code. It's just weirdly overly complex. It's like spread across 7 or 8 different packages, and it's not clear which one you should use when. It's like, it just reminds me of, it's a lot like if a Java programmer designed it, that would be what they would make. And it just doesn't feel like Go. The rest of Go is super simple. You want to open contact a web page? No problem, man. Here you go. 3 lines of code. You're doing a request to a web page. Then you get like to I/O. Oh, you want to open a file? Oh, that's about 10 lines of code. Do you want to read every line in the file? Like line by line? Very complicated. Just to do line by line reading. I had an idea for a web app for a betting game, but a skill-based like poker game, kind of gambling, but kind of different, I think, to write it and Go. Written some Rust Marketplace web apps before. Yeah, try it out. You know, if you want, grab that little Go starter pack in my code. It's not a framework or anything. It just like gathers together a couple of things. And just take that and like use it as a template for what you want. It's very simple. It just uses Alpine. If you don't like Alpine, you can drop in whatever you want. Really simple database backend. Comes with an admin panel. Authentication. Right. Damn it. I just erased my macro. All right. So now we got to do that macro again, but I have a better idea. This is the classic programmer problem of I will spend the next hour making a macro in Vim that automates doing this. Instead of just spending the 20 minutes to do it. Okay, we want to do dot asterisk backslash dot. And get this one. Right, I'm going to translate that. I have a new idea. We're going to translate that to why you not do that? Oh, damn it. All right, let's see if we can make that work. That's 20 minutes you could use saving 2 minutes. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, we need a semicolon here. That's fine. Hey, we can do trailing commas. What? when was that a thing? Hold on. Really? Okay. So now I botched it. Okay, one more time. God damn it. Do I have caps lock on or something? No, I don't. Okay. Bomb. You need macros to type properly? Yeah, don't we know? Okay, VK submit. Okay, so they want the flags. Wait, semaphore count. Interesting. That one's really interesting because it's passing in pointers. Array proxy, no temporaries. Then flags. So that's a different one. So then it wants the wait semaphore infos. Oh yeah, this takes a lot. Wait, where's the start of this damn thing? Okay, there's that one. Okay, flags. Okay, that's constructor stuff. Okay, I'm skipping that. Okay, the flags come first. And then there's the array temporaries. I'm not particularly sure how to use that. That's interesting. This one we might not be able to convert because I think we have to have the submit info pointer. It was most likely like, you know, a pointer array kind of thing from the C. Yeah, so it wants the flags first and then each of those. We can try it. Okay, so it wants the flags first. Give me a second. Yeah. Okay, this one's pretty complex. We'll undo that because that wants those arrays. So we'll have to learn how to do the arrays. Yeah, we'll skip that one. This one looks doable. Format extent, map levels, a layer, layers, usage, tiling. Okay, we don't need this. We don't need that. Okay, great. Okay, so it looks like that. Okay, so it wants the flags first. VK image usage flags. Where's that? Okay, so flags come first in this. Okay, image type. Format extent, map layers, array layers. Samples. Then tiling. Wait, but that's usage. I'm assuming then this is just 0. Yeah, there's no flags set in the original. So let's do this. Yeah, so this is kind of like making a case for the other syntax, but because if I have to add the comment, then the no constructor style is probably better. VK image create info. Image create flags. Yes, just do that. VK image create flags. Thirteen arguments. Nine options. Okay, so what are we missing on this? This one is what we're shooting for. Okay, flags. Image type. Format extent, map levels, layer arrays. Samples. Oh, so sharing mode doesn't seem to have a default. That doesn't have a default. So it's not, wow, yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that you're missing on that. You have to specify the sharing mode. Yeah, so those don't get set to defaults. Q family indexes. Interesting. 13 arguments. Yeah, so you're in there reverse engineering because they don't provide a default for the sharing mode, even though in the other one. Okay, so let's just see if we can get away with this. Okay, so no conversion for format. Okay, yeah, okay, I see what we gotta do. All right, we gotta initialize these with their counterparts. Looks like you just have to do this. Now I'm assuming image type 1 bit, and then that's format. Where's the extent? Wait, what constructor is this? Image create info. Okay, so this one. Okay. It wants flags, image type, format. Wait. Wait, what? Huh? Why? Why do they have that? That's really weird. Extent 3D. Yeah, so you're just converting these to these types. VK sample count. Samples. Sample count flag bits. Oh. Sample count flag bits. Really? You have to do that? No, it's got to be this. I'm going to guess like 1 bit. I know. Bit 1. We'll just get. Okay. And this is probably VK image tiling. I'm going to say optimal. And then usage. VK image usage flags. Okay, we got to do that. MIPS levels, array layers, extend 3D. Yeah, I'm thinking it's better to not use the constructors because, well, you'd have to maintain the order that these go in, but you can set a lot of things to defaults. Yeah, there's a no struct constructors versus a no constructors. I wonder what the difference is. The thing I'm missing is image type, so I have to look this up. All right, so I need image type. For a 2D, I'm going to guess it's like this, but 2D. And then this is most likely wrong, but what do they have for default? Flag bits is E1. Okay, yeah, so they're using E. I don't know why they're putting E. I mean, I guess for some of the situations. Okay. And then image type, that's fine. Okay, so we got flags, format, extent, image type, MIPS layers, array layers, samples, tiling, and usage. Okay, so I feel like this could be a lot better if we went to the no constructors. Not sure. Yeah, and then you have to add E. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, and still it's not all of the options. Okay, what does this want? Flags, image type, format, extents, MIP levels, array layers, sample count, flag bits E1, image tiling optional, sharing mode, query indices. That's totally not it. One argument, 9 provided. This thing wants 13 options. Yeah, it looks like it's the only one. Weird. Okay, so we have the image create flags, image type. No, I completely screwed this up. This is wrong. Format. Okay, let's double check it. Extent 3D. Sample count flags. Tiling. And usage flags. And sharing mode. Yeah, it doesn't have sharing mode. And it's not given a default. And doesn't have query indices. It doesn't have, like, none of these things are set to a default. That means there's got to be another constructor. Has to be another constructor. Yeah, that one has an exclusive one. Okay. Samples, tiling, usage, sharing mode. Yeah. Okay. That should be the fix. Okay, that works. This is definitely easier, but without like documentation or an IDE kind of filling this stuff in for you, it is pretty brutal. I gotta say this, the C library is more annoying. You have to fill in like, well, if you use C from C++, it's more annoying because you have to fill in so much of the structure manually because of the way C++ works. Okay, so let's try this out. Hold up. We're gonna do define, and it was actually we can do this is kind of weird, but I'm gonna do yeah, this one was a bit too complex because it wants arrays. So we'll do this. Let's change this really quick. This was wrong, but I need that exception back. Okay, we want to go to here. And I wonder what we need enhanced mode, but I wonder why that's an option. Okay, let's try just this one. Let me grab this actually. Okay, we're gonna grab this. We're gonna see if we can kind of like test this out. All right, we're gonna define. Actually, let's do this. We'll keep this as documentation. Go down here, zap that, do this. We're going to define. Let's just define this one. So instead of no constructors, we're defining that. Then we include this. Okay, so now there's no constructors, which means we're going to have to go back through and set all these to their actual names. But that ends up kind of being what you have to do anyways because of the complexity. So I'm guessing it's going to be like flags, equals, and so on. Okay, let's see what we get. Okay. Right, okay. Cannot convert. Here, let me do this. Cannot convert to vk structure and initialization. Got it. Where are you at? Yeah. We need to find where are you at? Where are you at? I need the original struct. Can I convert VK structure type? Oh man, they have a weird template. Oh god, I think this is worse. All right, we'll see. Yeah, we would need to do. Oh, that's just terrible. Oh man. Yeah, this is gonna be real bad. Oh. Wow. Yeah. Because the error message you get when you do that is not one relevant to the actual location you're calling. So we have to do Vulkan. Oh man, that's rough. Command pool, create info. Okay. Wait, where's the flags? Wait, but why is there an underscore? Oh. This is rough, dude. Yeah, you have to do that. Oh. Oh. Oh, that's brutal. Yeah, you're having to do that. Because they're doing the underscore as a thing, but okay, whatever. But I suspect we're going to have to set a bunch of things. All right, we'll see if that gets us somewhere. Yeah. Hey, Harry Dree, how you doing? Has no non-static data memory named flags. Oh, that's an and. Oh, you have to define both of those. Oh, man. All right. You have to define both of these. Why? What was the point of that? All right, we'll see what it does. But I think, yeah, you're stuck with the constructors. I think this is going to be harder. Ripple has no non-static data memory named flags. I mean, honestly, you don't. Wait, so... Huh? But the struct has an underscore? What the hell are they doing? How are they doing that? Okay. Sure. I guess you have to go look at... I bet you have to go look at the regular Vulkan struct. Hold up. I kind of have to do this. Command pull, buffer count. Yeah, you'd have to do this. Because these are inconsistent. Yeah, you need to look up the structure docs for that instead of looking at the C++. Let me see, Vulkan. So you have to look up command buffer allocate info. Allocate info. Here. I can't believe they did like a man page for everything. Okay, so this is the deal. All right, so you look up each of these, and then in theory, this becomes level. Command pool buffer count. All right, and then that's what we're doing. Yep, then the next one. Okay, depending on how consistent that is, it's kind of self-documenting. It's more annoying than the constructor, but I feel like it's going to work better. So you're just doing this. And then you look for the C struct, not the C++. The C++ is wrapping the C struct with stuff. And that means you can, yeah, I'd have to go in and investigate how they're doing that. Okay, so now we can just go, Let's see if we can look for this. Yeah, search the docs. We're looking for that. Yeah, so we go here, and then we find this. I would love to make that. Can I get these man pages? How would I get these man pages? Hold up. Because you can get docs for... Yeah, see? I can just hit K, and I can get that. Here. Hold on. Graphical UI to help manage Vulkan OpenGL overlays. Yeah, it doesn't even come with the man pages. That'd be great. I mean, it's only useful for me because I'm using Vim. If you're a Vim programmer, that's the future. Okay, so let me do some for submit info. I mean, honestly, I'm going to do this. And then let's kind of shrink this over a bit. Yeah, just looking these up. So then using this doc, I can do... Okay, this makes it a lot easier. This should be... Now, this may actually be wrong, but let's do value. Yeah, hold up. Let's go look at what I had this morning. It's index then value he has. Okay. Index is 0, value is 1. Yeah. Oh yeah, okay, so it must already be in the device index equals 0. Nice, nice, nice. And then stage mask equals that. Okay, so this is easier consistently. I'd say this is probably the better way to do it. Assuming you're not having to do a lot of really weird crap. Because sometimes when you have to do it this way, it's not that good. Okay, so then we just go... Alright, I should make a macro to do that. If I can get the man pages, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll get this to compile. We'll go find the man pages. So then this is, oh, I already have it documented. Command buffer equals that. And then device mask equals that. Okay, yeah, now we're getting somewhere. Okay, but that one's too complex. Okay, now this is the one that's blocking us. Okay, where are you at? Yeah, here we go. Yeah, this is what we need. Okay, so now let's see if we can find these Vulkan man pages and install them on my system. Vulkan 1.4 man pages. Download. Also be found in the Vulkan SDK for each SDK version. Okay, so if you download the SDK, then they're in there. Documentation not available for Windows version? Windows docs? Yeah, if I can get the .man. Okay, apparently I'm going to do that 2 times. Awesome. That was very successful. Okay, so the man pages are in here. All right, let's do that. Great success. Oh, you just popped in. Happy Sunday, and thanks for the raid attempt last night. Perfect timing. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. yeah. That was funny. Yeah, we need like a spin lock. Okay, so where would these docs be? Share? Doc? No. So this is the driver, bin lib. I mean, honestly, let's do this. Okay. Nothing. Okay, so they lie. It's not in that SDK. All right, let's see if we can find it. I'm determined, man. Let's unzip. Because if they have man pages, I can just load it right up in Vim. This is a problem only I have. Nobody else needs to deal with this. But they say the man pages are supposed to be... Documentation not available for Linux version. I don't get this. Soul chain extension layer, Vulkan spec loader. It's so weird. They have the man pages. They're clearly generating man files and then making HTML out of them. So, like, why can't I get that? I want your man files. Where are these? Interesting. Hacks poor. So someone extracted them, it looks like. Uniterated Vulkan docs man pages. From 5 years ago? Really? Wait, so you may convert into man pages with a few cleanup reformat on top, but doesn't include maintaining of man pages, generating code and repos. So in short, you're supposed to do it, and this project will serve that purpose. Because you don't have time or don't want to build it yourself, head over to the downstream Vulkan docs repository. Okay, so go here. Yeah, this is old. Interesting. What's this shell file doing? Make runs the build. Interesting. So there's a little bash script. All right, let's try it. I love this stuff. All right, so here we go. We're going to grab... What a pain in the ass. That'd just be really easy to get. All right, we're going to go source. Make sure this the thing isn't full of hacks. Her package, let's see, target version. Character artifacts have generated man pages. That's interesting. I wonder what that's doing. Okay, let's try it. Run cruise doc. Target API release version. Okay, let's try it. What a dumb way to get documentation. To build the docs. I'm on Ubuntu and I kind of just installed what they have. Core WSI. Yeah, okay, it's got an error already. So it's updating the package log file and then well, I guess we're gonna do this the manual way. Y'all know what yak shaving is, right? You know what yak shaving is, right? All right, let's do this so we can figure out which of those is causing the problem. Target API version. Nah, yeah, see, this is gonna be wrong. Okay, so what version of Vulkan do we have? App search Vulkan. It's like 148 something or other. One 4300. Is it? No, that's tools. That's VMA. What the fuck? Vulkan headers? What the fuck do I have? User include Vulkan. Let's just this. It doesn't say the version. Come on, help me out, man. So is Vulkan just like default installed already? That seems kind of weird. Nothing, really? VK roots, headers, memory allocator, utility libraries, dev. Okay, well, I'm just gonna go and see if there's. We'll go to the freaking repo. What repo are they getting it from? Here we go. There we go. Copy. VS Code is the best. Yeah, I'll admit VS Code to make this a lot easier. But I'm kind of curious. Shaping the axe in the bike shed we'll be designing exactly. But I'm into it because if I can get man pages up, this is really useful. Having local documentation, even if you have the, you know, something that pulls up generated docs, having like man pages or like when I code Go, I run their the doc website tool locally, package site. It's great. It's a lot quicker. It only documents what you've got downloaded. Okay, so now we need to look at tags. I'm just gonna guess. Yeah, let's do like this. Hello. Okay, so now we go to the build script and we say this. It could be that it's just kind of checking out. Okay. And then -x build so we can see what it's running. Okay. Yeah, it has a problem because what did it install? And then it keeps checking this shit out. I don't know why it keeps fucking doing that. It's really, really dumb. I did not do this. So what is it doing that for? So you don't set it here? Oh God, you do it on the command line? Stupid. What was this again? No, I need to remember it. Okay, we're gonna do this. You know, I could write a tool that does this a lot better. That could be a fun project. Like a little Go tool that just like grabs all the docs possible. Interesting. Yeah, see, it keeps trying to check out this. It is checking out the correct version at least. Okay, so one more time. There we go. Got it. Dash, that does nothing but format docs. Yeah. Dash is great. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so here's the problem. Okay, we're going to go git checkout. I'm not sure why he's grabbing stuff. It's not there. This one. Yeah, because it's overwriting the package locks, so we can do git checkout package lock.json. That should hack it up to kind of do the right thing. No rule to make target man API spec.txt needed to make man pages. Is that his makefile or my makefile? Make J4 only man pages. Okay, so it's in the build. So he's applying a patch. I wonder if we even need to do that, to be honest. I wonder if this is just not needed anymore. Maybe they fixed all this. Yeah, you want to bet? Interesting. Man API spec. Oh, so it looks like things have moved around. Well, that's just node modules. I'm gonna bet, because that other project is like 5 years old. Just curious what this does. ASCII doctor. Interesting. Really interesting. Okay, so let's look in this make file because it's possible. Man, HTML pages. Yeah, so it looks like there's a way, because they're using ASCII doctor to output HTML versions of the man pages. So let's do all man. Yeah, so I don't think we need that build script. I thought that was a false flag. So I know ASCII doctor can produce man pages, .man, and then we just have to hook it up to the system and Vim will display it. And then, you know, we just basically, every time we're typing C code, we just, you know, to do it? Oh my god, I forgot how to get... I accidentally do man pages all the time. There we go. I'm always hitting Shift K. Okay, let's let that run, and while that goes, we'll go just do it manually. Okay, so next we have this one, view create info. So you just have to go YW. What's this? With it again. I never do copy paste this way. Yeah, no, that doesn't fucking work. There we go. Okay, we're gonna do a little macro here. Okay, and then come in here and we go make a new macro. Fucked up. Wrong. Okay, unify that. Okay. Almost. We'll see if that works. Nah, I gotta do it again. Okay, we're going to replace that with dot \1 equals \. There we go. Again, then it just has to be in the right order. I thought I converted that. No, I failed at that one. Okay, we'll see if we got lucky on that. Okay, so now this one, we have to manually do that. Flags equals this. Image type equals that. Format equals that. Extent equals that. Now this is the reason why I tried to set or switch to the no constructor version, because that should set defaults for things that the constructor requires. Okay, then array layers. That's assuming these are the same variable names, but we'll see in a second. Yeah, something like that. It's not bad when you document it that way. Okay, so error, convert extent 3D to uint32. Wait, so the extent is different? All right, so let's look this one up. Yeah, so the trick is you go here and look for this. You get the type. It gives you all these things you set. What does it want? So why is it complaining about that? Cannot convert extent 3D to a uint32. Am I putting it? Where's extent? Hold up. Huh, weird. Wonder why it thinks that it has to be an unsigned integer. Okay, let's look up. I wonder if I have to explode that out. Yeah, I bet the constructor version takes that. Yeah, I bet I gotta do like this. Right, okay. That's making a bit more sense. And then let's just start doing this. And then back up. Image create info. MIP levels. Base MIP level. Well, let's make sure it's the right one. Yeah, here. Base MIP level. Image view create info. Okay, it's a process, but this is definitely easier to type. I think as I go through the documentation, I can kind of translate this a lot easier because it's closer to what I would type and then modify to make it easier to work with. Okay, so then, oh yeah, we don't need this, don't need this. That's the first thing. And then we have flags, almost always come first. Oh yeah, we don't need these two. We need that one, and there's no flags. Okay, so that's the first thing. Well, let's see if we can skip it. Image. Okay, so it needs to go flags, image, view type, format. Wait. View image, create info, right? Wait, where's this shit come from? Oh, that must be from a... Oh, okay, hold up. I got an error in my little function. Yeah. Okay, so this... What are we looking at? Base, level count. Yeah, okay, so from here. It's a little too aggressive on the... Hold up. That should fix that. Yeah, because that's part of the sub-range. That's the sub-range, sub-resource range. Okay, so image, missing flags, image, view type, format, missing components, and that. So that's the part that I'm like unsure of. I believe we can't skip stuff. So we're gonna have to fill in all the missing pieces. Either all initializer clauses should be designated or none of them should be. Oh, but this would have to be this actually. Yeah, hold up. I'm doing that wrong. Maybe. Might have to make the... okay, it might be working. VK image view type E to D, I'm gonna guess. I'm learning the pattern. All right, let's see if we can get some new music going. I'm kind of done with keep it in right, we're gonna go jazz. We're gonna go fun jazz. Let's see, do we want to do acid jazz or bebop? Let's do bebop. Everybody likes bebop, right? Everybody likes bebop. Charlie Parker. Love Charlie Parker. My favorite. But honestly, I actually don't like John Coltrane. I know. Miles Davis, Charlie Parker, all those guys, yeah, no problem. Just don't like John Coltrane. I don't know why. Okay, and then we gotta do VK format. I'm assuming we can do that. I think I had a problem with that earlier. We'll have to go see. Okay. Designated order of field aspect mask is not met. Order aspect mask in sub-resource range. Ooh, this is the beast. But if you can figure this out and you're doing C++, it ends up being a lot easier, right? Because a lot of this, I mean, I'm just going to say it again, the vast majority of the complexity was just these insane structs to configure stuff. And even have other ideas to kind of make that simpler too. Various stuff gets pretty out there sometimes. Yeah. I mean, I think they all went kind of nuts at one point. It was the heroin. All the heroin. But yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that John Coltrane is bad. He's not. He's freaking genius. Amazing. I just cannot stand listening to him for very long. So. Okay, so now... oh, goddamn. Okay. I'm probably going to offline figure out how to get man pages out of this. I mean, it's obvious. It's right there. It's right there. I know I can do it. I'll use that other script. I'll see if I can get the man pages. I'll put them on here and then I can access them from here. That'd be fun. Okay. Yeah. So far, so good. Interesting. Okay, so refactoring this to C++ is kind of the jam. Yeah, if you could get some like base defaults on this. All right, everybody, we got another advertising starting soon. I'm just gonna keep working. So if you get a good advertising block, congratulations. If not, feel free to mute it and go take a break for 3 minutes. Okay, now this one's going to be interesting. Yeah, because these are... These are translated into arrays. So the submit info is going to have to require probably rewriting at the source to make this work. I don't know. I got a crazy idea. I have to think about this, but starting the tutorial over is always good, like redoing what you learn, but doing the translation to the C++ version as I go. That would be really interesting. Because I've already done it once, I kind of know what's going on with these conversions. Yeah, converting it to C++ would be really interesting. Let me see where this is being used. Interesting. How much of this is... Yeah, doing this conversion in here would be another interesting thing. Really, really interesting idea. And the other way to do it is to just go back to the way the code was, but refactor it, just doing what's there. So instead of converting to these C++ things, yeah, really interesting. Okay, let me look at this. VK initializers. Yeah, those are doing good. That's doing good. Okay, let's continue the trend. Actually, what is clear? Why isn't it as an optional? Huh, okay. Okay, what am I doing? What am I doing? Bad. Okay, if clear equals null pointer. Oh wait, no, yeah, because clear can be a pointer. That's why he's setting that. Okay, hold up. That's why he's doing it that way. It was kind of odd, but so we need to do this instead. No, what am I doing? That's stupid. Don't do it that way. Do it this way. Okay, then do this, bring this up, get rid of that. Equals the value of clear, and then return it. Okay, these are most likely out of order, but that's okay. All right. Cannot convert VK image. Nice. VK attachment load up. Is that right? Wait, shouldn't this be a store op? Wait, hold up. Yeah. That's backwards. Clear color value? Wait, what? Hold up. What was that previous error? Not convert from clear, but I don't want you to do a VK color value. What? What the shit is that? Okay, we gotta look at this one. The VK clear value. VK clear value. Does it just not have a direct constructor? I guess so. So I guess we're gonna have to do this. It's a little annoying. Oh. That's annoying. Oh, but this would have to be because it's a pointer. What do you mean too many initializers? Is there no depth pencil? Let's see if they have the, I don't think they have the C++ here. So they must have changed the way clear value works in, yeah, they ain't got shit. So VK clear value here has two components, but in the C++ it doesn't have any. What? Why would you do that? That's really weird. You think it's a union? Yeah, but... Oh yeah, it's a union. Yeah, you're right. What the fuck? This just explodes into so many weird ass shit. Yeah, so then you can't assign because... Yeah, you have to do this to convert it. I don't know, man. Yeah, because then you have to do this VK or... Come on. VK array wrapper, one-dimensional float 4. Yeah, that alone makes the no constructor version of this just not worth it, man. So far I've ran into 4 instances where I'm having to create my own, like, arrays of shit. from clear color value to an array, but that's a VK clear color value. So instead they want, what do they want, man? Like, it's just really weird. Instead of just keeping it like straightforward, they decided that certain points are going to do whatever the hell this is. VK array wrapper? Like, why am I doing an array wrapper here? Yeah, I think at this point it's a fail. Oh, wait, what am I doing? Can't do that. Float 4. Yeah, some jackass went in here and C++ a little too hard. Yeah. Because, yeah, Jesus. I'm going to have to go in and figure out, like, how the hell they're using this to represent the color, because it's not automatically converted. But if I had... yeah, it just falls apart immediately. It could be nice, but because they've decided to add these array wrappers on stuff in places where there's not an array used here. So here, there's no array. There's not a single array in this thing there, right? Who knows? Maybe this is an array of some kind. But you got to make it, like, work for clear color value. Clear color. So now I'm pulling out the RGBA color codes manually to fill in an array for. It should just be like yet another union. So they most likely have some like weird type def struct. I'm gonna have to like convert. I don't know what it is, right? So it's float 4. Okay, so we're gonna go in and like so we have to do clear color value dot color dot float 32. No. Yeah, that makes the whole no constructor part terrible. With the constructor, you run into all sorts of things you have to set because the constructor doesn't have a default value. No, if I call for call to. Yeah, they're doing an array wrapper. Okay, so then probably let's just get rid of this. The array wrapper is supposed to get automatically. I'm guessing that. I don't know. Yeah, somebody just graduated from Stanford and aced all their C++ classes and then wrote this shit. That's what's going on. Some junior dev who's super good at C++. He memorized everything. He's like, I know. Whenever they give us a color, we'll use an array wrapper around it that has 4. Like, dude, it's just an array. It floats. So yeah, so like, can't convert from an array float 32 to 1D4. So I'm literally gonna have to make. There's no automatic conversion to it. So like, and then why is this translating to that? That's like a completely different thing. Oh my god, man, yeah. So I'd have to study the C++ code just to figure out how. Man, they had something going. This would have been a lot easier, but then just like a couple of really dumbass I know too much C++ decisions. The fucking color. Dot float 30. I'm assuming it's the same. We'll see. I don't know. We'll probably need 14 more template instantiations. The fucking color. Yeah, somebody just C++ way too hard right here. Now that I wrote mine in C style. Yeah, so, you know, keep in mind, I don't care about C versus C++. I'm just curious about it, right? Because I see what everybody does. I don't assume people are stupid. I don't think that the guy who wrote vkguide is dumb. No, he clearly knows what he's doing, right? So everyone uses the C API. I can't find too many people who use the C++ one. And I'm like, why? In theory, the C++ API should have a lot more convenience. Error, designated initializers cannot be used with an aggregate type. What the fuck is it then? Am I going to have to... Oh my god, man. Am I going to have to... Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Seriously? It can't be right. This can't be the way to do it. Anyways, no. So I think people don't use this because of this bullshit. They just C++ way too hard. And they made everything optional. Oh, do you like constructors, bro? Cool. Oh, you don't like them? Cool. Oh, you like exceptions? Okay, cool. You don't like them? Okay, cool. They could have made this way simpler and way nicer if they just said, no, this is a modern C++ library. We're using C++ 20 or greater because it's been 5 years. Time to grow up. And we're going to use everything in the STL, and that's it. And then they just keep it as simple as possible. Make it as direct and easy to configure with. So yeah, I can see why people use C because like, this can't be the way that I initialize a color, man. That can't be. Or the flags thing, VK flags, the type, and then you add your flags. Like, what are you talking about? Templates all over the place. This stuff here, the building these, this is easier. This is nice. But the cost you pay for it is now you do this, and you're also, it's kind of like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you enable the constructors, then you get some defaults, but they forget some defaults. So then you have to go find defaults for a lot of things, right? And you have to document what each position is anyways, right? Turn off the constructors, you get the nice, you know, default constructor kind of thing. But then you run into shit like this, where you have to manually convert things to your own float 32 array. Let's see, what's your suggestion? Color equals the fucking color? Yeah, it's there. Yeah, I'm having to craft it myself. Alright, so I'm gonna have to go hunt down this weird ass array wrapper. Alright, I guess we gotta hunt down this stupid array wrapper. Oh. Also, I'm not sure if that's 4 elements in the array, I'm assuming, or... No, 32 bits would be... I'm never good at that crap. Really? This can't be the way you do this. There's no way this is right. There's no way. There is no way. This is how you... There's no way. Let's see if we can get it to work, and then I gotta go hunt this down. Hey, you Garth, how's it going? There's no way that's how they expect you to do that. There's literally no possible way that's what they think you should be doing. There has to be a way to default initialize that from one of these other types. Yeah. All right, I think that kills the C++ experiment for me, man. Yeah, using these array wrappers, that's what also ran into trouble with another one. So I'm having to convert from, you know, pointers with a length to an array wrapper with this and blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, it's kind of just not worth it. It would be easier to refactor this half C, half C++, and sort of like just craft like a higher level API than to try to use the C++ API. One more thought. Let's try it again. That does compile. Let's make sure it runs. Builder, hello. Yeah, but then it core dumps. Oh, but that's only, hold up. Hold up, we can't do it there. It's only if we have a pointer to that. Which, again, is not my decision. That's the original code, so. Okay, we'll do that, but then I can try one more way to initialize that thing. Okay, so it works. Now let's try... this weird-ass C++ syntax. Yeah, bro, you initialize with this. Oh, but you also have to put it inside the thing like that. But why? I shouldn't have to do that. It's a beautiful fucking color, yeah. Yeah, okay, so that's it. I would constantly forget this, like, double brace bullshit for array types. It's like, come on, man, you can't help a brother out, C++? I fully cannot believe that's how they expect you to do that. Like, are you just running around handcrafting RGB colors? That's just insane. I can't imagine that being... Because, like, what's one of the things you do a lot in like, you know, graphics, color. And I guess you're not manually crafting it, but that's just, yeah, that's quite weird. Yeah, because we... No, because, like, I bet you they went in because you say... I bet there's a pretty nice constructor, but if you disable them, they disable it on everything. So then that also means they're array types, which gets rid of probably constructors that did the conversion for you. So that's why you're stuck doing this. That's brutal. Funny, thanks, man. Alright, well, we only got one more, and then I'm not able to do this one because I have to go look at how they're array, these ones. Because these are technically, I think they're just like, you know, C-style arrays. You don't know the length. So I gotta go look at how I would do that. Now, they're only one length. I suppose I could do that same thing. Alright, we got one more thing to pull off. Alright. Don't need that, don't need that. Alright, those are probably going to be... I mean, it is nicer. Having the default is nice, man. But then when you run into any of those, I'm assuming that can be null. Well, let's leave it. Let's leave it. All right, what are you complaining about? Here, cannot convert vkRec2 to N32. Well, most likely, let me think. I'm gonna guess. All right, so I'm going to think that the optimal way, if you want to use the C++ style, if you go through vkguide, just do the translation as you go. So sort out how you do it in C++ as you go. Can I convert vk extent 2D to uint32? I had this exact same problem. Oh, yeah, that, okay. Yeah, because when they disable the... Yeah. We don't need the type. It knows what the type is here. So what happens is when they disable the constructors, they do it in a lot of places where it's really useful. Okay, so we need vk extent 2D, and this is probably width. And that's probably capital D. I'm assuming that's what we do. All right. Extent. VK rendering attachment info. Oh no, actually that's not gonna work at all. Shit. Yeah, see? Yeah, when we get pointers to stuff, we can't just like convert them to pointers to this stuff. Right? Because they're two totally different pointers. Yeah. So anything that has pointers, you have to like wholesale be ready to use it to convert it. Interesting experiment. I'm gonna say that I think most people don't use the C++ because it has a few pretty significant flaws. There's not enough defaults set in the constructors. So if you use the constructor style, you're in there adding a bunch of things that don't help you. If you get rid of the constructors so that you can have this nicer format, right, for configuration, which gives you better defaults, you get screwed because then there's a whole bunch of things like this that have their constructors disabled, which shouldn't be disabled. That's a bit too literal, right? I think what most people want is, this is what they probably should do. They should say, the configure structs, all these create info, all these configure structs have a ton of defaults, and you just set the ones that you need, right? And then other things like base types, these keep their constructors. Because I bet if I do this with the constructors on, I bet you anything that you can just pass in a clear value to it and it just configures it. I'd have to go look, but I'm pretty sure that's probably what they had. But then they went, oh, disable constructors. So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. You're either in there sort of like doing chains of 13 parameters to a constructor, right? Have to get every single one like this. Image create info is a lot of things to the constructor. You're passing tons and tons of stuff to it. So it's nice to have this documentation where I go, here's the flags, here's the image type. That's really great. I like that, right? More verbose, but that's, you know, going to save you some headache later. But then having to do like this to get my colors, no, that's just not going to work. Yeah, I'd have to rewrite this function to pass in a different pointer for that. Yeah, I don't know. It's a mixed bag. I think it's like, I think the easiest way to put it is the C++ ends up being just as much of a pain in the ass as the C. It saves you on these configs, but then you have to do more shit with like flags and arrays of stuff. So you're kind of, it's like a total wash. Whereas if you just use the C API, yeah, you have to spell out structs a lot more, but then on the plus side, you can just like pass an integer and that's your flags. And all right, so we have to undo this one. Keep that. do this. Let's make it compile. Yeah, and I'm pretty positive. Let's take a look at vkguide real quick. I'm almost positive. Let's look at this. Initialize in Vulkan. Okay, so let's see. Explains how it's done. I'm also thinking VK Bootstrap probably only works with the C library. I'd have to go check. But if it only works with the C part of it, VK Bootstrap and VMA, the Vulkan memory allocators, are like massive performance and productivity helpers. So if they only work with the C library, that'd be the other reason to never touch C++, right? But I'm able to use it. Like it's pretty good integration between the two. Let's look at, yeah, I think it's just a matter of like, if you really wanted to use the C++, you go back through here and you translate this code to the C++ directly. I'm positive that's the way you would have to do it. If you want to go C++, yeah, so like right here, you just like right away, you go VK physical device, selector, device. Yeah. You definitely would you would start this way. From the beginning, you say, I'm going to use the C++ version of Vulkan, and then you manually translate VK Bootstrap over to this. Instead of write out the C code and then go back and try to do it with the C++. I think that's the best way to do it. And then as you go through it, you're going to have to deal with things like having to make your colors like this. From there, you're gonna have to deal with like a lot of additional bullshit. Right, setting up Vulkan commands. Right, yeah, so you can create a VKQ, initialize the commands. I don't know, that could be interesting. That could be an interesting thing to attempt. Rendering loop. Yeah, but it's interesting because it's almost not buying you anything. Yeah, I'm really torn. Because like the C++ could be easier, but I'm seeing it's like the same. So you're not getting anything. Okay, I'm actually going to commit this, and then people can look at the branch. But also that conversion was 5 hours just to make some C, just to build some C++ structs. Nah, yeah, that's nuts. And I still can't even do all of them because some of them take pointers. Yeah, interesting. All right. The type erasure that allows for flexibility of graphics size is such a double-edged sword. Yeah, right, it is. There's so many enum flags, right? And then also, I think another big mistake that they made in the C++ API is they went all out on the enum classes. And so then that means they can't just take this, right? They can't just take that, just reuse that. I'm fine with using that, right? I don't care about having, typed things, right? I can have that, no problem, right? But they went all out. Like I said, they just C++ too hard, right? They just went too hard on the C++. So you can't do that. You have to convert it to like another enum. So you have to do this VK image type E2D, right? So that they're trying to get like kind of type safety on it. So it only takes that type. Okay, but I mean, it makes it a lot harder to work with, right? Or the fact that they decided to go with flags and they decided to change the flags to use this kind of weird flag macro thing and like a whole class for each flag. And it's kind of like, if they didn't do that, if they just say, yeah, we keep the flag stuff mostly the same. Well, I guess I guess you're just stuck. But then, keep all the enums. And then, if I turn, they should have just made a decision. They should have just made a decision. You construct these info arrays like this. No constructor. This is how you do it. The end. Right? But things like 1D wrapper can take 4 floats and it knows what to do. Right? So there's constructors for these nice base types that are convenient. And then there's not constructors for these. These are basically just plain old data objects, right? Just a plain old podo. So with that, don't have constructors. It's just plain data. That's it. Just boom. You know, and you don't have constructors, and just make that decision instead of trying to be pleasing everybody, right? I like enums, but they abuse them for things that don't need them. Yeah, like their type settings and whatnot. Yeah, it's yeah, I'm real torn. I'm real mixed on it. I think if you're like you love C++ and you start off with the plan of I'm going to do C++, it works. If you go through the C and you try to convert it, it just takes too long, and it honestly doesn't come out like much better. Very interesting. Okay, so let's make sure it runs again. I think the next thing I would want to do, the next thing I want to do, one more branch. I love experimenting with this stuff, like kind of sorting out how I can make this a lot more usable. Okay, go back to the C code with my JSON hack job, and then just go refactor crazy, but only use the C API. So come up with a refactoring that gives you a nicer, higher level thing. I think that would be another interesting exercise. Okay. God, man, Git is weird. Anyways, okay. All right, so if anyone's following the code, that's in there. If you want to take a look at it, and then if you have thoughts on it, it's just that one file, vk initializers. And actually, we can go look at the diff. I think we can. Let me see if I... Yeah. Let's see, we're going to go to vk initializers, and yeah, getting a diff between the two branches is going to be a pain in the ass. Oh, no, it's not. Okay. Yeah, it does cut down on a lot of the code. But, like, that's it. So far, all I can see is it's just, like, not much of an improvement. This is just on the initialization things. I'm betting there's like a lot of advantages with like when you're dealing with the device, you can get an image and stuff like that. But yeah. And also just the very limited docs, there's like almost none. So the docs on that README are totally written for someone who's already learned the C API. And not, here's just how you use the C++ API from nothing. Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. Am I stopping here? I think this is the end of the C++ experiment. So I'm going to set up and Yeah, I'm going to set up for refactor the C codes. We'll try that as the next experiment. Because I suspect that'll produce a better result where like things are nicely refactored up. Especially if I include like I can have defaults for most of the stuff. Okay. I'm just going to quit. All right, let's do this. Oh, I can't do that. So this was this weird idea I had. you can configure a lot of your stuff with JSON. I love it. Nobody else would. So basically I can do this. One line. I can craft a VK view create info. Now it doesn't have to be in JSON. I'm mostly just doing that to be weird. Because you could create basically a bunch of default constructed structs. And then you can just have like a lookup table for them. I think you can even probably const expression that. Probably, yeah. But just for fun, I basically, what I did is I used enlowman JSON, and then I have a type, and then the profile for the type. And so then when you you do this, load, it takes the type name from that, and then you get the name for the component, it looks it up in the data, gets whichever profile you want, and then just from JSONs it and returns it to you. You get a little faster compiling times 2 if you use the C header. I bet. That, did you see that C++ header? Like one was 25,000 lines long, the other was like 30,000 lines. Multiple defines. Every single constructor can be removed. Every single exception can be removed. Like that's got to be just a lot of work for the compiler. Which is really interesting, you know, because it's like, yeah, they should have just made a decision. They should have just said, this is the C++ API, and went for it as simple as possible using modern features. And then just tell people like, yeah, if you're a developer stuck on C++ 17, the C API is what you want to use. It's there for you. It works fine. But for people doing C++, we want to just support modern C++ because it has a lot of nice features that we can utilize. And so we just say like, yeah, just sorry, we don't have the constructors. We have the modern, you can configure the struct that way. You know, and then just have a design to it. So that way you can really refine the developer experience. Okay, so here's the initializers here. Yeah, interesting. I think I could do this a little bit better. I don't need to do JSON. I was just being weird. I've always wanted to get better at it, or like better understand const expressions. I'm pretty damn sure I could come up with something for this. Yeah, that'd be interesting. You know, basically create a bunch of like a starter kit. Yeah. So just kind of set with like base options for what you want. And then when you make something, you just go, make me one of these things, and it just loads up basically what I'm doing here. Then you alter it slightly for what you need, and there you go. Because I suspect that a hell of a lot of this stuff is just repeated, which is why people make these functions, right? Okay, interesting. All right, everybody. I think I am going to call it here. I appreciate y'all hanging out for me, especially if you stuck around after Jonathan Blow rated us. That was fun. Yeah. Absolute legend. Love it. Well, I don't have the branch, so I guess we're good. Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to find you all somebody to raid and get you information for you can check it out. If you want to check out this code, let me see.